Hello everyone and welcome to another Times video. So today we're taking a look at blue-black Rescaminator in Timeless format. So as you can see, we just got Daze and Force of Will added into Timeless format. And considering that this is the first day of Strixhaven, I'm starting with the blue-black Rescaminator just because this is going to be a safe craft. Crafting any of these cards in Timeless, there's absolutely no risk at all, and you're going to have a good time. So that's why we're going to be taking a look at blue-black Rescaminator today. And throughout the week, I'm probably going to be releasing more decks that are relatively safe to craft that I think are going to be good. And starting from next week, potentially we're going to have a bunch of more experimental decks. That's going to be the plan for this week. So going back to the list, it was kind of hard to fit everything into this deck. Compared to something like Legacy, we do have access to some cards that they don't have, such as Demonic Tutor, Vampiric Tutor, things like that. So we're also going to be trying those out, as well as the Hydroponics Architect. Now that we have Daze and Hydroponics Architect together, this is an absolutely busted combo that you can't see anywhere in any other format. In case you didn't know, the Hydroponics Architect can turn any land into a basic island, which means as long as you have a fetch land that can grab an island, you can even fetch a swamp as long as the swamp has turned into an island in addition to its other types. Which means that swamp is now going to draw you a card. You can also bounce the swamp back into the hand using Daze. And then in later turns, you can just replay that swamp back, draw a card, because it now has the text that you got from the Hydroponics Architect. So this is an absolutely broken combo. So this is a combo that I definitely wanted to have it in this deck, which meant that it was actually really hard to fit everything in. So if you are playing Hydroponics Architect in this list, now the deck wants at least 8 copies of fetch lands, which means that in a Rescaminator that's only playing something like 17 lands, it's even harder to fit something like a Strip Mine. So now we're only playing 2 copies of Strip Mine in the deck. Usually other decks will play 3 to 4 copies of Strip Mine, but in our case, we can only fit 2 copies of it. Now, another problem. In a Rescaminator, you're gonna want to play some Troll of Cause of Dooms. But in a 17 land deck that's also playing Hydroponics Architect, it's actually really hard to fit this card in. And at the same time, the Hydroponics Architect actually doesn't synergize too well with the Troll of Cause of Doom unless the Hydroponics Architect hits exactly a swamp, Undercity Sewer, or Watery Graves. But obviously, being a Rescaminator, it just didn't feel right to not have a Troll of Cause of Doom in the deck, especially with Daze and Force of Will. If you reanimate this card out, this will end the game very fast, backed up by counterspells, so I just couldn't justify not playing the Troll of Cause of Doom, even though it doesn't pair up well with the Hydroponics Architect. So instead of playing 4 copies, we're gonna have to settle for only 3 copies, especially considering our mana base, having to play a lot of fetch lands, Strip Mines, and Hydroponics Architect. Now the last bit I wanted to kind of talk about is the Vampiric Tutor. So this is a card that's currently not restricted in Timeless format. So you could potentially play 4 copies of it in a single deck. However, we're only playing 1 copy of it just because we just can't fit all these cards into a single deck. We already have a copy of a Demonic Tutor, which is restricted, and now we're playing 1 copy of Vampiric Tutor. And basically these 2 cards are taking slots from the Ponder in deck. Currently, we are only playing 1 copy of Ponder, but let's say if we didn't have Demonic Tutor or Vampiric Tutor, we could be playing 3 copies of Ponders in the deck. And potentially, if you cut the Brazen Borrower as well, you could even go up to 4 copies of Ponder. But instead, we're going to be playing 3 of these cards instead, since the tutor cards can just tutor for any cards that we want. And considering that in this format, we don't have any other ways of reanimating other than reanimate in the format, unless you want to go into something like a Necromancy if you don't want to lose life, and there's also Life and Death, but you also lose life. So instead, we're going to be playing Demonic Tutor and Vampiric Tutor so that you can tutor for the reanimates in the deck. And considering that we are playing Tutor spell, we have a 1 copy of Brazen Borrower that you can tutor for in cases where opponent has something like a Leyline the Void on the battlefield or the Dark Depths creature. One last thing to note before we hop into the game. The Vampiric Tutor has a bit more synergy in the deck compared to Demonic Tutor, where if you have something like a fetch land on the battlefield and you already have a reanimate in your hand, and you don't have Entomb in your hand. The Vampiric Tutor in this case can actually kind of function like an Entomb by fetching a Surveil land. While the Surveil is on Stag, you can Vampiric Tutor for a reanimate target and then put it on top, and then you can Surveil the card into the graveyard. Otherwise, it's going to function as a worse Demonic Tutor since it doesn't exactly put the card directly into your hand. So yeah, I think this deck is going to be absolutely busted, and we'll see how it does. So thanks to that, I'm going to be hopping over to some Thomas Special 3 to show you guys how the deck does. So let's hop on over. Alright. First time playing with Force of Will and Daze in Timeless. Off to a bad start. It's a lot of lands there. And off to a good start. What is this hand? This hand looks absolutely insane. I guess we're keeping 4 of these on the right side, and then just tucking away the Brainstorm since we can go into Reanimate Grief. At least that's what I think. Into a Strip Mine start. We're gonna see... Oh, wow, okay. That's pretty brutal. I'm not gonna lie. So, I guess we're tucking these away and then try to land the Psychic Frog, right? Since these cards are probably just dead anyways. Into Magus as well. So if they draw a land, we're dead. Basically. Alright. We even got a Daze. Maybe I should have actually played a Flooded Strand there on turn 1. In case we draw a Watery Grave, actually. Because now I have to actually grab an island instead of a swamp. Okay, we have a clock. We have our win con. Yeah, because we know that we play a bunch of Watery Graves, it was actually correct to play the Polluted Delta first. Because the Flooded Strand can only grab an island, right? Okay, so mono red. Mono red, mono red. So we want another copy of a Brazen Bee. What is going on? A new bug has arrived? Do you see this? What is going on here? Another new bug. Lovely. Lovely. Exactly what I wanted. In case our graveyard gets shut down, I guess we probably want to maybe pivot towards like a mid-range plan. And Barrow Wave is just a good card against them anyways. What do we sideboard out though? Maybe an Aatroxa? Fatal Push is still like decent, I guess. We gotta sideboard out 3 cards. Maybe double Entomb. Maybe Iona isn't even that good then. Alright. I sideboard out the Entombs and they show up. This hand doesn't look that great to me. We do have a Ponder though. But then I kind of have to play the Ponder. Then I don't have a Force of Will target. At the very least, I can Force of Will the Ponder away on turn 1. Probably have to do that if there's like a Chalice coming down. Okay, so... do I Ponder now? Maybe I Ponder now? Oh man, I shouldn't have done it. Okay, that was a mistake. I shouldn't have done it. Because like, what if I don't draw a blue card? You know what I mean? Oh no! The exact scenario happened. Okay. We'd love to see that. Okay, so if a 3-mana card comes down, do we greed? Okay. Okay, we also got a Daze. Also got a Daze here. So let's brainstorm first. We found ourselves a Reanimate. Hide the Undercity Sewer. Play this. Grab a Swamp. Then we're going to Reanimate. Okay. It sticks. Play the creature. We're gonna pass. And now we have these cards. I'm not sure what kind of hand they have, but... yeah, I'm not really sure why they kept a hand like this where they did nothing for the first 4 turns. Broadside Bombardier. I'm totally okay with that. It's an easy block. Even if they have Pyrokinesis, I can Force of Will. Or let's say they Pyrokinesis first. Okay, that's fine. Oh, a Little Mantic Barrage. I didn't expect that actually. But maybe I should have. That was a fantastic draw, by the way. After that punt, it not just the Fatal pushing the Broadside Bombardier. Definitely was a punt. Alright, GG's. What a deck. What a deck. Our first match secured. Alright, I think this is probably Mulligan. Land. I mean, technically, I can demonic tutor for. I think it's just gonna be too slow, right? Turn 3. So I don't do nothing on turn 1 and then do nothing on turn 2 with the demonic tutor. Maybe it's actually Entomb. Because the Hydroponics wants a Troll of Khazad-dûm to draw a card. I mean, if it hits Water Grave, that is. I mean, if they actually have a... Okay, Brainstorm turn 1 is fine. Okay, so now we have to play around the Daze, right? We gotta play around the Daze here. Man, going second sucks. What? Going second absolutely sucks, huh? It's a Grixis deck. Oh no. Going second absolutely sucks. What is this? So we can play around the Daze, but if they have a Force of Will, they're gonna be uplanded. But that's gonna be the same case for us. I think I'm just going to cycle this for Sewers. A Grief. So they have a Daze as well. Okay. Alright, so this could be a Bowmaster, so no point in blocking. So we know for sure opponent has a Daze. Ooh, what a card. What a card, what a card. Am I shocking myself to play around the second Daze? Okay, Troll lands. We have a 2-turn clock with the Troll. Troll requires 3 creatures to block, so... I think we're doing pretty okay. Into another Ponder. Man, this is actually looking to be a very close game. Aatroxa. Not the card that you want to see, but I should probably grief right now. Okay, they really wanted to protect that. I wonder what it is. Nice. Very nice. Okay, so we are dealing with the Grixis Reanimator. Is this another bug? I don't know. I'm gonna assume it is. I mean, opponent just played a bunch of Ponders and lost the game. I'm gonna assume they also played things like Tamiyo, so I'm gonna maybe slot in the Bloodchief Thirst. They have a Loris, so they're not gonna have a Leyline of the Void, so I don't think we have to bring Brazen Borrower. Definitely the Orcish Bowmaster, I think we want that, plus a Baragoyf. Which means we have to sideboard out a lot of cards here. So I think I'm just going to take out the Entombs here. Vampiric Tutor is also... It's cute. It's nice, but it's also card disadvantage, and in this kind of matchup, it might be bad. Now we have to take out 2 more cards. I'm gonna take out a Ponder. And a Fatal Push. Alright, we got a Force of Will. And a Fatal Push. Okay, so this could be either a Force of Will or a Daze. So I'm gonna let that slide. Oh, that's really sick. So if I Fatal Push now, I can't play the Psychic Frog next turn. And we know opponent has a Daze or a Force of Will. I think opponent has a Daze. That's actually pretty sick. So I'll have to wait until maybe next turn. I'm gonna Fatal Push. And if it's a Daze, we can pay for it, so... Okay, so... I don't think we can play around the Daze anymore. So I'm just going to play the Psychic Frog out. Yeah, I don't think I can play around the Daze anymore. It would have been nice if this was like Aatrox actually. Do I still take this? Actually, if I get a Daze, we can actually play out the Psychic Frog here. We actually have another play now. Yeah, we actually have another play instead of just a Psychic Frog. I'm sure opponent has a Daze. Let's see if they counter this. They're still gonna counter. I needed to brainstorm first in case I get a fetch land, but so they have another Daze. So we're just looking for a reanimate at the moment. Into a Ragavan. Let's attack. And now we're going to get rid of a Psychic Frog. Okay, reanimate waiting room. Watch as opponent steals a reanimate right here. Oh, thank God. Thank God. I was about to say there. That would have been an absolute disaster. Okay, so we got a Daze here. I really wanted to play this Grief, but I think I actually have to play the Grief out now. Yeah, I really wanted a land, but I don't think I can wait until... Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen. So they have a Daze, okay. It's actually so nasty. They got to cast 2 Dazes off of the Steam Vent. Okay, you're gonna hit a land? No! That's my card. That's so tragic. Into another land. Okay, so looks like this is my last turn. It was going so well. I mean, technically it's not the last turn, but it is technically a last turn. Since they're gonna be gaining life. And I can't reanimate anymore, so... No. No. Okay. Maybe another copy of a Fatal Push is gonna work. I'm going first this time. Alright, this time around we have a Hydroponics with a Daze. Daze and a Hydroponics. Lovely. And it seems like they don't have one, so good for me. This is so stupid. This is so dumb. Oh, we got a strip mine actually. Do we want to cast the this is actually kind of... Do we want to actually do this? I guess we kind of do. Another strip mine. Demonic Tutor. Alright, so I can go Hydroponics or a Brainstorm here. I feel like I should Brainstorm. So technically they can Daze in response to my Brainstorm. But I'm gonna lose my strip mine anyway, so... Okay, we got a Force of Will. No, we want this, right? We definitely don't want the Saint Elenda. Wait, I just... What? I thought I put the Saint Elenda here, but I got absolutely destroyed. No! 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 I thought I put the Saint Elenda here! What? That is definitely not what I wanted to do, but... Things just happened that way. So we probably want a Demonic Tutor here. Or just get a Reanimate. That also works. I think we still do this anyways, even if they could have a, you know, Force of Will or a Daze. Because next turn I can Demonic Tutor for another Reanimate anyways. And if they do that, you know, they go down on a card, and then next turn we can play a Baraglyph. Or, you know, like I said, we can just do it again with the Demonic Tutor. Or not. How many strip lanes is that? 2? A fatal push. I guess it's like better than nothing. In case it's like a Daze on the opponent's side. Now we have to draw land for this Baragoi here. I hope this last card isn't a Daze. Kinda hoping that's the case. And I hope I draw a blue spell here. Excellent. Now we have a 2-turn clock. We can let this happen, right? Since we got a fatal push. And I just need to play around the Daze, right? Okay, final turn from opponent. Polluted Delta into a draw. Into another draw. Alright, GG's. So we got a Grave Reanimate, but it is actually a kind of a weak hand because I have to discard everything. And then I just have a bunch of lands. Maybe our job is to actually get the Psychic Frog down as safely as possible on turn 2. Actually, maybe I should have actually still done it in case I could have reanimated something. Like if they're also playing a Reanimator. But the thing is, this is a... I'm playing against a deck I don't even know what they're playing, you know? So... I guess I can brainstorm first to see what I'm dealing with, maybe? To see if I can get another grief target. Okay, so we got a troll. Is troll better than... Is it? So we'll see what we're dealing with here. Okay, so opponent has a Daze. They have a Lightning Bolt. I mean, I can play around the Daze, so I guess I don't need... Lightning Bolt actually kind of hurts. Ragavan is also kind of annoying. Maybe I take away the Ragavan. Yeah, I'm gonna take away the Ragavan here. And next turn I'm gonna reanimate the Troll. Or just play out the Psychic Frog, I guess. Kinda depends. Wow, they didn't keep the Daze. So they can't even go like double Daze anymore right now. Alright, so I think we're just going to reanimate the Troll. It's probably better than Psychic Frog. I mean, especially against the Lightning Bolt deck. Ah, which is better actually. Ooh, a Strip Mine. So I can't do a quick, cool trick here, right? Since they have a Thundering Falls that they can bounce with the Daze. So I guess I'll just reanimate. Oh, a Spell Pierce. I see. I guess I should have played around the Spell Pierce, huh? That's my bad.
I've read nearly the entire library.
So let's see. I play Swamp and then Psychic Frog. Opponent Dazes, and now they don't have any mana to play next turn, and I have a Psychic Frog. That seems pretty good. Darn, I didn't play around the Spell Pierce. Yeah, I didn't play around the Spell Pierce. Oh my god, they even play Stifle. That's kind of scary, isn't it? Let's say I play another Psychic Frog and opponent has another Daze. I can still avoid getting Lightning Bolted. So, I think this is fine. I'm gonna be drawing like 2 cards per turn, so this should be fine.
Tell me everything you know about this plane. Think before you act.
All right. Attack. Do I want another Hydroponics Architect on the battlefield? Probably not. Is it -3?
That tome is one of a kind.
The Force of Will that I can't really use.
Violence is not the answer.
A Source of Plowshare. Alright. Let's get rid of this. Wow. They really wanted that. Okay, this was actually a pretty good pickup. So if the Tamio grabs a Source of Plowshare, we can Daze it. We can Force of Will it. It'll be kind of bad if they have like exactly Force of Will here.
I never forget an exceptional story.
This is actually a pretty close game. Yeah, all things considered, it's actually a pretty close game. As I say that, we found ourselves a reanimate.
Perhaps not every battle can be won.
What a card. I think at this point, maybe grabbing a Grief isn't too bad. Hydroponics Architect. I guess maybe I should have grabbed the a troll. Since even if they do have... Yeah, I kind of regret it now. Kind of regret it. All right. We go to next one. So opponent is a Stifle gamer. They are a Stifle gamer. So Entomb's out, Tutor Car's out. We'll try to fit Barrowglyphs in. I'll also take a Brazen Borrower. Let's go. Okay, we have a Reanimate. We also have a Bowmaster and a Force of Will. I think we get rid of a Brainstorm, since we can still play the Architect here. Okay, another Bowmaster. So if they want to play Daze or Force of Will on this, okay, now I see what opponent has right now. It's a Daze. It's a Daze. Alright, so we know this is a Daze. Let's go with the Grief here. Destroy target creature. Its controller may search for a basic land, put it onto the battlefield. Why are they playing this? What? Why are they playing that? Oh, it's a surgical. I mean, I could take away the surgical and... it's just like... They would have to top deck something. I think we just go with the Bowmaster right now. I don't want to get blown out by like top deck Daze or something. Saint Delenda. I don't really want to reanimate anything. It would just be a Grief though. Or a Ragavan, I guess. Let's just go with the Grief. Potentially, I should have actually played the Reanimate first. Then I could have actually gone there for more damage if they decide to draw. So I misplayed there. What an insane top deck too. From a singular draw. Arn. Very, very good top deck.
This is an interesting story.
Oh, a Psychic Frog though. That's a risky block. That is a risky block there. Opponent with the risky block. What if I had another Bowmaster? But I mean, I guess they have no choice, like... They're kind of losing at the moment, so...
I'll aid you. So focus.
Alright, GG's. Right, so... We took a look at Blue-Black Rescaminator today. I really think this is like one of the best decks right now in the format. And I wanted to get it out as soon as possible because that's probably what most people want, right? You know, the set just came out and they want to craft something that's like at least a little bit more reliable than some of my random brews in this channel that's a little bit more janky. So I took a look at Blue-Black Rescaminator today, and as expected, I thought the deck was incredibly powerful. Like the top decks are really good, and even if it's like in an even playground, like as soon as you draw something like a Reanimate, the game kind of blows up. And the fact that like you have a Grief, it's incredibly powerful versus Force of Will and Daze. So you can easily play around the Force of Will by casting Grief. And then even if they have a, you know, a Daze, you can pay for the Daze mana since the Reanimate only costs 1 mana. The only thing that we didn't get to test today was the Vampiric Tutor. Of course, we are only playing 1 copy of it. As you can see, our deck is very, very tight. There's actually very few slots that can fit the deck, and we're even playing 17 lands at the moment, and we can only play 2 copies of Strip Mines because we are playing Hydroponics Architect. We are cutting it very short. In order to play the Hydroponics Architect, you need a lot of blue mana, so we are mostly dealing with blue. However, because we are also a Rescaminator, we also need to play a Troll of Khazad-dûm. And Troll of Khazad-dûm doesn't pair up very nicely with the Hydroponics Architect, just because this doesn't fetch an island. The only time the Troll can hit from a Hydroponics Architect is if it lands on the Watery Grave, Swamp, or Undercity Sewer. So we have a little bit of an anti-synergy, but I still stuck with the Hydroponics Architect just because the card has an insane synergy with the Daze, being able to bounce the land that got hit with the Hydroponics Architect. So we're kind of cutting it short. Everything is just jam-packed to the brim. Like, there's very few cards we can actually add to the sideboard. And that's why we can only play 1 copy of a Vampiric Tutor. So we have 1 copy of a Vampiric Tutor. We have 1 copy of a Demonic Tutor. Of course, this is restricted. Vampiric Tutor is not. We're also playing some one-of, such as Brazen Borrower you can tutor with the Vampiric Tutor or the Demonic Tutor. Brazen Borrower, you can bounce things like Dark Depths Creature or Leyline of the Void. And unfortunately, we can only play 1 copy of Ponder here, but considering that we have a Vampiric Tutor and Demonic Tutor, I think we're going to be okay even if we don't have a, you know, 3 copies of Ponder. And we can't even play like 4 copies of Troll of Khazad-dûm, like I said, because of the Hydroponics Architect. And then we can only play 2 copies of Strip Mines just because since we want Hydroponics Architect, we do want at least 8 fetch lands. So we have 8 fetch lands, and Troll of Khazad-dûm could potentially also grab a Watery Grave that got hit by the Hydroponics Architect. So potentially, like, we got 11 copies of fetch lands for the Hydroponics Architect, but the Troll isn't going to always get the draw land the Hydroponics Architect hit. So a little bit of a downside, but that's the compromise I made for the Rescaminator that's trying to play the Hydroponics Architect. So yeah, I mean, not much to say. The deck is incredibly powerful. You've probably seen it from game match 2 and 3. In those kind of a tempo matchups, you do want to bring some removal spells since they have things like Ragavan, Hydroponics Architect, Tamiyo, so you have a Fatal Pushes, Bloodchief Thirst. The Bloodchief Thirst is for Transform Tamiyo, so you do want this. And then you want to bring things like Orcish Bowmasters and Barrogoyf, and basically you're going to transform into a little bit of a mid-range deck, and you can just kind of take out Entombs in those kind of matchups. So yeah, that is going to be it for today's video. Like I said, this week I'm going to be probably going through all the potentially good lists. The experimental decks are going to happen after the first batch of decks are released on my channel. So less experimental decks and more of good decks that you can potentially, you know, import over and just kind of play it this week without too much of a risk. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Bye bye.